Timing matters more than hustle. Here is why. Alright, yesterday I sent a newsletter about the Tailwind Principle, and in here I am kind of outlaying how, what we can learn from history. The most successful people, if success is measured differently for everyone, but if success means for you that they were able to have a big impact on both society and their wallet. We often look at people that were in a unique position to leverage some sort of movement, some sort of tailwind, I called it. And what we can learn from this is essentially that when there is opportunities, we need to be able to seize them. And most of our work really goes into identifying those opportunities and then positioning in a way where we can leverage them. And of course, AI is right now one of the biggest opportunities to do that. And actually what I want to talk about today is a response that I got in response to this. And I want to share it to you, and I want to, make the answer publicly available because I think it's interesting for everyone how I think about these things. And so here we go. All right. So my friend Ruben, he wrote this. He asked, how are you using the Tailwind for your business, or are you still searching for it? And then I also asked about some GPT images, one that I showed you here that is generated by the new GPT model, but that will be a topic for another video. So are you searching for it? And I mean, we always are, right? So we're always trying to see and find the next kind of wave of opportunity. Right now, for example, that could be the new image model, right? Like, can we build something with the new image model that we couldn't do before because now we can add text to images more reliably? Before that was a big challenge, and now the GPT image one that's also in ChatGPT is quite good because they train it both on text and images. So it has fundamentally an understanding of text, which the models before didn't really have, right? And so here's my response to that. I think in general, AI coding tools or vibe coding tools or whatever, they are a big kind of tailwind, that you can use in order to be more productive, to churn out more of these ideas that you have, for example, fast. That makes you more productive. And obviously that in itself is an opportunity you can exploit, as I said, to grow faster, to build more, to launch more features, anything like that we can use these tools for. But also there's another idea here that is interesting, which is from a concrete example standpoint. We have a wedding speech tool, and that wedding speech tool, what we've seen the most success with is essentially going after what I call auxiliary roles at a wedding. So it's not the couple, it's not the bride, it's not the groom, but it's essentially the maid of honor or the best man or the wedding officiant or whatever. And these personas are not traditionally targeted because they're not worth it from an ROI perspective, right? Like most wedding tools, they will monetize the couple because that's the big spender. Like in the wedding, the couple will by far spend the most money, maybe the friends or their family, in order to gift the couple something. Like that's the next kind of big spender. But there's not a lot of monetization of that, second class citizen role at a wedding. Let's call it that, right? And so why is that not possible? It's technically two things, right? So we can build the tool much cheaper. So if I spend $50,000 building software that makes me $5,000 a month, my timeline for ROI is much longer. And by then, if AI keeps moving as fast, maybe it's not even relevant anymore. Maybe I'm already, maybe there's already ChatGPTs doing all the stuff that I've done, right? And so the shorter you can keep this timeline, I mean, it's always better to keep it shorter, but the shorter you can keep this timeline, obviously the better, right? Especially if things move very fast, which makes it even more critical that that's the case. And then a second one, because we're using primarily SEO for the growth, I can now produce content that used to cost me, let's say $50 to $200 to produce, and I produce it for a fraction of the cost, like let's say $3 to $5. And that obviously makes it much easier for me to grab market share, assuming I have good content, right? And it works as an acquisition channel. But the same goes for ad creation using AI tools like social ads or whatever, right? As long as it makes sense. And like using these things, that essentially in itself is right now like the biggest opportunity that you have. So it's creating very niche software for someone that hasn't been catered to so far, or creating it for use cases that haven't been worth it to do and to solve not just because they weren't possible. There's some of those as well. But in a lot of cases, AI just essentially makes an existing process better, faster, cheaper, right? Like barrier to entry goes down. And so what you can think about is which people haven't been catered to because it wasn't worth it for a bigger player to do, right? In a certain space. I think that's an interesting thought experiment we can run. And then again, how can I reach them cheaper than it was possible before? And how can I reach scale faster, right? So not just think about the product, but also thinking about growth, distribution, whatever. And AI in general, all its forms and shapes and whatever are obviously massive tailwind, right? Probably even bigger than, I don't know, steel and the railroad or whatever. That was what I was referring to in the newsletter. And so, hopefully the stuff's interesting for you, helpful to kind of understand where we are, where we're going. And if any of it does sound interesting, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. For example, for the GPT image video, and I will drop here in the next 2 weeks. Alrighty, cheers.